Good morning and welcome back to Plannercraft. I'm Natalie and I'm going to be doing a bit of work with some vintage type today. So hopefully you've managed to download some of the freebies that I put up, but also I'm going to be showing you a few fonts from Adobe Fonts as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So I have a new document, and the size of which isn't important at the moment. I'm not going to be going into size and scale that much. It's just a base for me to put my text on. So.
Zena's watching as well.
Okay. So I'm going to type my word first, and in this case I'm just going to go for love. We're going to go nice and big. Just get rid of the symbol palette for a second. Don't need that today.
Your mum's asked if you're feeling better.
Kinda. I'm drinking while I'm so 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Zena says hi now.
Hi Zena. Anybody else before I get started?
Tracy said hi. Did you say hi to Tracy?
Hi Tracy, and you said Carol's watching as well.
Carol's
didn't you
watching,
say?
yeah.
Hi Carol, hi Lily Grace. Okay, so the first font that I'm using is another freebie that you can download from Font Bundles, which is Melanesia, and it comes with two variations. So you'll actually see it's actually got it as a separate font. Make sure that your text is selected, always helps. There we go. So we have a vintage one that is kind of distressed but has some decorative detail in, and we have a plain version. So when we're working with the scan and cut, whenever you see a font that looks like this in terms of having this texture to it, that's quite a big no-no, because if we then convert it to curves. And let's go into the group. You can see, oh my giddy aunt, just how many nodes that we have. So if you imagine your machine is just going to see all those nodes, and it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to refuse to do it outright.
Pass out.
It's just going to, well, one of three things actually. I mean, one of the other things you may find it does is it doesn't actually load. It will just hang on the importing screen and just, not going to work. Or it might be brave and attempt it, and you'll end up either ruining your mat or your card or both.
Or your blade.
Or your blade. So whenever you see something that has this many nodes, walk away and change the design. Okay. So if I go backwards. So what we can do instead is we can actually edit this text so that we can start to bring in some of the elements from the other version. So if we do a copy, and we'll put it to our textured font. Okay, so we have this kind of element in here. Now because this is so detailed, I would advise that you actually cut that out of your main body rather than trying to cut it and place it on top. So in that case, what you want to do is actually have two copies of this version. So we're going to keep one solid, and move this one down here, and then we're going to have another copy that we're going to do our cutout from.
Tracy, what about changing it to a print and cut? Would that be okay?
Yep, you could do a print and cut. You may just find that you want to do a cut file with this style of text rather than trying to scan it in, because obviously it doesn't have a solid black outline here. So if you zoom in here, when your scanning cut was scanning, it would try and go round these little white sections rather than doing a nice neat line. And you can also do things like putting a gradient in so that you get like the kind of ombre effect in it and shadowing and so on and so forth if you go for the print. Okay, so with our second version, I'm going to go to Convert to Curves. I'm going to ungroup it so that we have each of our letters individually. Let me just take the straight pen out of the way that you can see them there. And I'm going to go down to this one. Now, if we zoom right in here, I'm just going to lock this because I don't want to select it by accident. I'm going to bring in my circle tool because essentially we have 3 circles here, and that's where we'll get started. So you don't have to get these to line up exactly with these originals, but what you are going to want to do is where you've got something that repeats across like this, is you're going to want to have it in a format that you can easily replicate. So straight off the bat, I'm going to merge those together. So then we can actually duplicate those across our entire layout. And there'll be a few places where it alters, but that's fine because we can come back and edit those in a bit. And that E is slightly different. And down here we can do the same. Okay, so knowing the scan and cut as we do, we know there are certain things it doesn't like doing, like lots of fine detail. So we can actually start to adapt this so that the scan and cut is a little happier. So if you wanted to, you could do a circle at the end instead of trying to do this point here. Like so. You could change it to a diamond shape if you wanted to, or we can just round off this section here so it doesn't go to this fine point. The choice is yours.
Sarah Lou's just popped in, she's waiting for her daughter to come back to the car.
Hope she's okay. Given what for?
I think she's just popping to see what's happening.
Okay. So, with my pen tool, I'm just going to draw a line to start with, pop it to a curve down here, and you don't have to get it right first time. I'm just going to go down there. Okay, so I'm looking at this join here to start with to make sure that flows nicely, and then we can increase our width according to our stroke. So about there would be cool. And then we can do our pressure. So we're going to keep a point in the middle where we have our widest, and then we're going to take this bit down. Now, with regards to doing your pressure, if you don't want your shape to go to an absolute point, don't drag these points down to the bottom, okay? So long as there is a little bit left here, your cap will still apply. Okay, so you'll still end up with a nice round point. So if I go here, you could just see it then when I scrolled. Okay, and I think I'm pretty happy with where that's going. And just so you can see it a bit clearer. And let's make that stroke white. There we go. And before I merge all this together, we're going to have to expand that stroke. But just to get started, I'm just going to drag this across. Remember, we can always then go back and edit it. And same here. And again, we'll leave this bit to last. Now just notice that there's actually 3 dots in that one, so I can just pop a copy of that in there. And I'm going to take a copy of our stroke and I'm going to flip it. So now we know that this is the same curve as what we've got here. Yes, it's not quite right for the V, but that's fine. We can fix that after. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom back in. I want to kind of decide if I want to drop this down a little lower, which I probably will. Because down here this is going to come down to this point. So I'm going to join onto this point here. Going to do that same curve that we did earlier, as closely as we can anyway. And we can always alter it if need be. If it's not looking right, don't panic. Try again. Okay. And we want to do the same here. I'm just going to move that over slightly so it lines up a bit better. There we go. It's better. And with this one here, because we're going up around the top of our O, you can do the same this end. If you are finding it's being annoying with a snap, you can press Alt and your snap turns off. Then let go when you start to do your drag. And do the same over here. So as long as your pen tool goes with that little diagonal line, you know it's joining up properly.
She says it's a lot of work, isn't it, just for a font? But on the positive side, you can make something that is unique that no one else has.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about the work that goes into creating a font in the first place, it is an awful lot of work. Whereas we're only doing it on an individual word, so it's a lot of fapping in some cases, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to bring this down here. and because it's got a slight curve, I'm just going to come into the middle and see where it goes to that little horizontal line across your stroke. We can click and it will add a new point, and we can drag it that way. And if we go to convert and smooth, it then turns into a curve rather than a point. But that's why fonts are so expensive, isn't it? At the end of the day.
And so this is, we all have plenty of time to faff at the moment.
Yeah, I did actually consider creating my own font for this, but yeah.
But it's great that you've given us the know-how to do it. And she's feeling a lot better today.
That's good. And hopefully Monica's able to watch today as well, because Monica wasn't very well yesterday either.
I haven't seen Monica on, but
Must be quite worrying to have flu in the current circumstances. We're worried whether it is actually flu or something else. There we go. So we just need to sort out this one. I'm going to go to my circle tool, and for now ignore that it's got the white stroke on it, because you still want to be able to use that stroke on other things, so we'll ignore it and it will go away. I'm just going to click at the top, click and drag in the middle, and click back down here, and then we can fix this curve like so. Click off it, go back to your pen tool.
Sorry, that's what the original font was called.
Melanesia. So this one's a freebie.
It's a font bundle, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Ian actually found this one.
Says it all, doesn't
So if it goes wrong, it's Ian's fault.
You just pass me your pad and I'll type it into you.
Yeah, there you go. It's also a good way of learning your curves as well. So I'm just going to twist these round so they line up better with this curve here. Thank you. So it's a little bit off, so I'm just going to tweak it a bit more around that way. That's
Seriously, thank you. I think I have that one. This is how poor it is. I was thinking it would be good practice for my curves.
There we go. So let's quickly take the stroke off that circle. We've got our other lines done. and we're going to take all of our curves and okay, it's going to be annoying, so I'll just do it this way. So shift and shift and take out that circle in the middle, just where we did that on the E. And that should be all of our curves. Just double check. Yep. And we can go expand stroke. So then we have our stroke and we can then weld it all together from start to finish. Into one shape. Okay. We can then move it that way. And just needs just to tweak slightly upwards. There we go. I'm happy with that. So then we can go back to our shape here. I'm just going to divide that so that we've got our individual lines, and then we can do it character by character and subtract. Now if you find that you've got weird things like this going on, that's absolutely fine too. There you go. So just do a divide and a subtract and it will sort itself out. Don't know why it does it, but that's the quick fix. And sometimes when you're wilding text, you'll find it does the same thing. So if you're finding that you're losing the centres of your A's, B's, so on and so forth, just divide and subtract and they should all come back. Any questions so far?
I think it's your end, Tracy. It seems to be running okay my end.
Have we got some connection issues, have we? Oh dear.
Tracy's crashed, I think.
That's not good. There we go. So now we can group these or weld them, the choice is yours. I'm just going to weld them just for ease. And let's give it a different colour. So what colour does everybody want this to be?
Planocraft pink.
Planocraft pink. They're a bit stronger then. Planocraft pink, there we go. Close as. Then if we overlay that over the top, you can see we have our cutout detail. Okay.
Which bit did you miss, Tracy? And I'll get that to just go over again. Oh, it must have dropped out a little bit somewhere.
Huh.
I didn't lose the stream this end, but on mine, but
Which bit did Tracy miss?
I was just asking. So.
If I go to history.
Tracy's a very pretty pink.
It's a very pretty pink.
What did you miss, Tracy? And I'll get that to just go over again. Or are you okay?
So if I go back to that last little bit. So when we did the subtract, if it blocks in like this, I divide, subtract again, which then brings our little hole back. And then selected the letters, welded them into one.
Where you were just about to weld the curves.
Which bit?
It says the end of the letters where you were just about to weld the curves.
Oh, right, okay. So, literally, if I go right back. So I have my curves there, which are in a group. Okay. I divided them up so that I had the individual curves so that I could go through character by character and subtract. Where we then had this issue where it hasn't subtracted properly, we go to divide and subtract again and it does it properly. And we did that for each of the letters. Right way across. I then molded them into one shape. I then changed to the pink. And got rid of the stroke that was around the outside. Overlaid it over the top of the original. And that's as far as I've got. Okay. Now at this point, I'm going to, with our original text selected, I'm going to convert that one to curves 2. So then it's ready to go to our machine if we wish. And I'm just going to ungroup and just weld together. So therefore it's going to be locked in that arrangement. Now at this point, if you want to, we can duplicate that, go back to the one that's at the bottom, and we can add a stroke, and we can add a shadow, and that shadow could be a different colour if we wanted to. So if we go, let's see, we've got pink and black, let's go grey, shall we? Let's go a little bit lighter with that grey. Oh, green looks quite nice. Same that. Yeah, let's go green, just because we can.
My YouTube just crashed.
Oh. So I'm just going to swap it over so that it goes into our fill. And I'm going to go to expand stroke. So then we have these two lovely layers. And I'm going to weld them together to give us our shadow. So now if we're going to cut this out of the card, we've got one layer that's going to cut out of pink, one layer that's going to cut out of black, and another one that's going to cut out of green. So that's really simple layered text design. So, does everybody like? So that's one way of working with text that you don't think is going to work on your scanning card. So you've taken elements of it and put it onto a planar shape and cut it out from that shape rather than trying to do lots of fiddly little bits to stick on top.
The way you said it pretty.
It is pretty. I might cut that one out later, so I'm going to put that up to one side and keep that one in there. And before I go too far, I'll do a quick save as. And I'm going to start a vintage type folder because we've got a few vintage things that we're doing over the next couple of days. And we've got that layered words. So, next font that Ian said about. And let's get the right one. It was the HWT one, wasn't it, we said about? So I need a word. And America is far too obvious. Go on, Ian, you've seen the font. Shall I go boring and go country?
Yeah.
Could go line dancing. if it's going to play ball.
And it's a lovely out of HTV on a t-shirt.
Yep. Yep.
Good love.
And it would actually cut really well out of HTV for having that split. What I would suggest doing though with this particular design is actually layering it rather than trying to do the cut through technique that we usually do, just because of this really fine detail. If you were trying to match that up, because your HTV shrinks a little bit, it would be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, layer it up for that one. There are occasions when I do recommend layering up. Not many, but
Dale says
that's
hello.
everyone. Hi Dale! So, this next font is HWT American. So you can now see why I said country. Or line dancing. Yeah, Ian chose this one. And this is from Adobe Fonts. So I'm sure Ian will put it up in the comments in a minute. And the joys of Adobe Fonts is a lot of the font styles are contained in like an overall container. So whereas before we had two different fonts for our love, where we had a regular and a vintage as two separate fonts, all the variations for HWT American are all under your section where you'd expect to find it, like your bold and your italics. So the main font is called Chromatic.
Tracy says change it to country.
I still think line dance, but you can see why it's funky for that. And we have inset, which is literally if you wanted to pop a colour into it, and you have the outline for the shadow. You have shot worn, which again has that same issue that we have with the vintage font before. We have the solid. We have just the stars. We just have the bottom stars. And we just have the top section. So if you wanted to, and you've got all your layers stacked on top of one another, you could basically do each word with a different effect on it and build it up in a number of colours. So let's show you that. So the joy of doing it this way is that we don't need to convert it to curves. So I'm just going to get my size right to start with so it's not overhanging my artboard, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate it, and they're all going to sit on top of one another. And I'm going to hide them for now. So each time I need a new one, I can just pop it back up and make the change rather than trying to kind of work out when I'm going backwards. So to start with, I'm going to go for my outline font. That would be good. Come on, there we go, outline. And we can go, let's go kind of dark blue, shall we? And I'm going to pop a little bit black in that. Okay, then we can bring in our next one, and let's go for the inset. So I'm going to go for a nice bright red. And then on the next one, if you wanted to, you could leave it like that, but I'm going to go for not the solid, let's go for the stars. And this one I'm going to make it go, let's go white. Okay. And then on the next one we can go for the solid, and we can make this a sort of vintagey creamy colour. So I'm going to go down towards the yellow orange section. I'm going to lighten up my yellow. drag this down. So it's going to go in there. And then going back to what you're saying about print and cut, if you wanted to, you can put in independent effects on it. So bear in mind, if you're going to send this to cut afterwards, you're going to want to take this back off. So I'm going to put my outer shadow on. And you can see we can start to do funky things with our stars, so that they have a little bit of shadow underneath. And we can do the same on the next layer if you want to, so that you actually start to create like a 3D effect. And this is a good way of doing layering if you don't want to use lots of card. So let's say you've just got some white card at home that you just want to run for a printer, you can do it this way and then cut it out. And you still have that illusion of it having the 3D. Okay. And if you wanted to, we could still pop in a different colour for our bottom stars. So if we want to go back to that same blue, we can click and drag our eyedropper and just click on the circle, and we have blue stars at the bottom. So that's a really good font for having lots of versatility. Adobe Fonts you get as part of your Creative Cloud subscription. I don't know how much it is to do it separately.
Don't know.
I'll get Ian to have a look at that. Won't you,
I'll look later.
Yeah. But one of the good things about Adobe Fonts is once you've got them, you've got them, haven't you, for the time that you're subscribing. Okay, let's go for another word. Let's go for circus. And road. Oh, come on. Rosewood. So this one's a bit more boring. So we have our regular and we have our fill. So if we were to send this to cut on our scan and cut, there's a few issues that we're going to have. So for instance, where this detailing here crosses over. So what we can do instead is we can actually start to create our own version of it. So I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to go back to just the regular fill version. Okay, let's give that a colour, which is different to that blue. Yeah, let's go there. Just so I can kind of see where I'm going. I'm going to drop a copy behind. I'm going to put that in the blue. And I'm going to offset it back there. I'm then going to go back to our red copy. I'm going to duplicate that. Turn that blue. Select both and weld them together. I'm just going to hide those two and put it back in that blue. So now when we want to create our shadow, if we zoom right in, this is a really quick way of creating a shadow. We can take our nodes and we can just delete. So anything where you've got a corner point, it's going to go in and delete it. So we put our one back in. You can see that we're starting to create our shadow effect. need to take out these little holes in the middle. Now this one, because you've got two curves that are meeting, we're going to take it out and we're going to pop in our circus back in, and we want to extend our two handles so that it comes back up to this point in a way that looks like it's still a shadow. And we'll just hide that again for a second so we can see these nice and easy.
Can you see the bottom of there?
Here, yeah, I'll do that in a bit. So things like the C and the R here we need to do. Oh, if I do, there's a little bit just there. Just take the left, there we go. Oh, not this one. Yeah, this one needs to come out too. So again, we're going to extend our handle down this way and across this way. And with this one, we just need to go and take that one out and put a point in there. I'm just going to shrink that up so we have our little angle section there. And finally our U needs fixing down here. Okay, so if we pop our other circus back in, we can see that we now have our shadow. And if we look here, we need to have it so that we do our outline next, and then we can sort out things like in there for our S. So going back to our solid shape, we're going to put a blue stroke in, expand that to where we want it to be for our border. And if we look at this shape here, it's got nice sharp corners, so we're going to change our join to sharp corners so that it matches. We're going to go to layer, expand stroke, which then gives us our shape, if it's well behaved. No, I say if. So if we can quickly convert to curves, stroke. Come in. There we go. Try that again. There we go. And I'm going to hide my little red section for a moment. I'm going to duplicate my stroke and hide a copy of that too. I'm going to take one copy and our shadow layer. I'm going to weld that together, because again we can kind of look at this and go, right, okay, well, do I want to sort this out in here? Which we can do. I think I'm going to give up in a minute. He's sat there with his head in his hands. Let's just put that red back in front. So again, we need to check that. Huh?
Nothing new here, you're doing fine.
You're not feeling well? Okay. So remember, whenever you're doing this, you want to try and extend your two handles as evenly as possible to keep your outline kind of heading in the right direction. My affinity's going a bit mad today. Yeah. Extend that way a little bit. And then we're kind of having this sense of the shadow actually receding, so it looks a bit more 3D then. There we go.
Jane says, can I suggest a save?
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially when it's acting a bit woo. There we go. And then we always have our outline that we can come back to, and we can change the colour of. So let's go back for a nice antique cream. There we go. So we have our circus. Now if we go back to our original, we have all these shapes in here. So I'm just going to do, let's go for the eye because that'll be nice and simple. I'll just do it to this one, otherwise we'll be here all afternoon. We don't want that.
Because there's too much hard work to lose.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to bring this right up to the top. Going to apply a stroke. Going to expand our stroke, and we're going to subtract it from our top layer. Okay, I think I want to come in a bit more than that actually. Let's go. Whoop. How's that looking for that? A little bit thinner. There maybe. Yeah. So, expand stroke. What has it done there? Come on. And let's put that in. Let's go for purple. And again, because we've lost that just there, we're gonna going to make sure that I just get my R for that one. There we go. So before I go any further, you know what to weld those, because a nice easy way of doing this next bit is to drop in another rectangle, and it goes more or less in line with the bottom of our C. So just here, so I'm going to take that and put it there, and then we can subtract so that we have our inlay. And then if we go to diamond, and to position it so that we have our green line to say it's in the middle, I'm going to go back to our shape tool because I want to get access to our little red button, and we're going to drag that down. So you can see straight away we're getting more or less that same shape, and then it's just a case of curving it. So just because I don't want it to make it too complicated with my cut, I'm actually going to go bigger than the original.
Make it straight.
So if I go too far, they're convert to curves because we're going to want to work on the path. And we can just drag these points in, and if we go to smooth we get nice curves. And I'm going to leave those two bits straight at the top, and finally with this top point I'm just going to round it off. As I said, scanner cut doesn't overly like nice sharp corners. Now because we've done the corner rounding, convert to curves again to prevent any issues. And we can drag that down. I'm going to duplicate it, turn it around 180, put it nose to nose, and I'm going to go for that colour for the fill for that one, and I'm going to subtract this one from there. There we go. So we have a subtracted shape and a positive one, and we can do that for each letter. There you go. So if you wanted to, you could cut that out so you make up each layer individually, so you end up with something that looks really nice and 3D. Or you can just do a print and cut. The choice is yours. So now let's see your layered words. So I'll carry on doing the rest of these letters, and hopefully we'll have some fun with those later. So, oh, excuse me, bye for now. Go and have lunch, or cuddle up in bed in Tracy. And we'll see you at 2.
Yeah.
Bye.
Pete and
Oh yeah, don't forget Pete at 12:30, Lou at 12, and I haven't seen whether Leslie is going to be going today or not. So she may be on at 1:30, but if not, I hope she's better soon. Okay, so take care. Bye.